What's up, chums? Bunny here. As you can probably tell by my channel, I really, really enjoy Path of Exile. And out of all the builds that I've played, this build right here that I'm making this video for is the most fun build I've played. Now, it's fair warning, it does start off as sort of a slow burn. It's not really a good time, really. I mean, it's alright, but it's not great until you reach around level 40. And that's when you make your mana problems disappear with blood magic. So before we start digging with the passive skill tree, let's go over the gems and the stat priority that you're going to need. And as always, if you don't catch any of this, there will be a link in the description. So for your main attack, you're going to need Lightning Arrow, Life Gain on Hit, Chain, and Lesser Multiple Projectiles. I know, very, very pricey, but it's worth it. And the whole reason why I ended up trying this build was because I got a 13 quality Lesser Multiple Projectiles as a drop, and I got a Chain as a drop as well. Yeah, I know, it'll be a sad, sad day if and when this character dies. And if you couldn't tell, that's a 4-link, 1 red, 3 green. For single target DPS, you're going to be using Frenzy, because we do spend points to getting Frenzy charges, as well as the increased evasion rating with Frenzy charges, but we end up converting that to armor with iron reflexes. And as of right now, I don't have it linked with anything, and when I end up linking with, I'll probably make an update video or something. It's not really the most important thing. For auras, you're going to want to run Grace, Wrath, and Anger. Now, Grace is going to give you a shit ton of armor, and Wrath and Anger are going to be a huge bonus and give Frenzy lightning damage as well as fire damage, but lightning damage is really what the most important thing here. Because the whole point of this build is to shock stack the fucking shit out of everything. And for the rest of the spells that you're going to need some 2 bear traps and a decoy totem for solo play. A decoy totem is just nice to have to keep mobs off you, and you can just sit back and lightning arrow the fucking Christ out of them. And also, alternatively, you could use the spell totem with summon skeletons on it, but in practice I don't really like summons all that much when I'm playing a non-summoner character, so I stick to decoy totem. And the bear traps, it's just a nice added bonus to have to just chuck at bosses. And one thing I completely forgot to mention, you're going to want to use Enduring Cry as well. Just helps with the survivability. So to bring up the passive skill tree, just to explain some synergies and some stuff that's worthwhile noting. Start going down right here, and I kind of rush towards the Frenzy charges and getting Heart Pierce, as well as I get the 2 Critical Strike chance nodes, just because it's going to help majorly with DPS. I wouldn't mess with this area at all until you are literally just looking for points at the very end, if you make it that far, to throw in, because this will increase your Critical Strike chance. It just increases your bow damage overall. Next, you're going to want to grab the Thick Skin nodes. I would not grab the Strength and Intelligence nodes right away either. It's really dependent upon what you're going to need at the time for equipping gems and gear. So you basically rush towards Blood Magic, and then from Blood Magic you want to rush towards the Marauder start area, grabbing all the health and everything that makes sense up until this point. This will increase your health an unbelievable amount. Then up to the Templar area, get the health as well. Now the whole point of this build, there's a lot of variations of this, and I still wanted the effectiveness. You'll notice that I didn't take Resolute Technique. Now I'm not sure of the practicality of this is going to be in maps and how much I'm going to have to stack accuracy gear, but I wanted still the benefit of the other elements to Critical Strike. Like, I want to be able to freeze, I want to be able to immolate, and I obviously want to shock stack. And when taking Resolute Technique, you don't get that anymore. So that's the whole reasoning behind this build and why I was going for keeping my Critical Strike rather than dumping it and just going for static blows, which a lot of people do for the Ranger. We'll see how it works. We'll see if it's better than the static blows Ranger spec. I got a strong feeling that it's not, just because the #1 Ranger in the world, and I think the #1 guy on the hardcore ladder, is using a static blows Ranger spec. So it kind of does the same thing that guy has. It's just a different way of going about doing it. Now, just to show the build in action, the stuff to pay attention to here is you'll notice that Lightning Arrow is pretty costly, and that's why you really can't afford to use it with 1 to 2 targets. You need to use it on 4 or 5 or over 4 or 5, because it's going to hurt you more than it's going to do damage, and you could potentially, kill yourself with it. So that's why our Frenzy comes in with, for single target DPS, you're going to want to keep up endurance charges, and you're going to want to keep up frenzy charges as much as possible, because they increase your damage and they increase your survivability. Fairly obvious. And you don't got to worry so much about the endurance charges just yet. Later, like for maps and probably Merciless, it's going to be much more important to keep those endurance charges up, but until then, don't fret too much and just focus on keeping frenzy charges up. Now, just before we wrap up, I guess I'll show you guys my gear, and so I can talk a little bit more about stat priority and stuff. As always, for overall stat priority, you're going to want strength, all resist, and then that's where it kind of is a gray area. You're going to want critical strike chance, you're going to want critical strike multiplier, you're going to want dexterity, you're going to want accuracy. It's really all dependent upon where you're at in the game and what gear is really available to you. Now, that being said, I'll just do a quick overview of all the gear that I have. This stuff, that's pretty fucking embarrassing that I'm still using it with Blood Magic, but I literally just got Blood Magic at the time that I'm doing this, and I didn't really bother taking it off. But this I'm using just for leveling, increases elemental resist until, I'm going to probably use this until I get the 2 plus 15 all res nodes in the passive skill tree. This belt is fucking crazy. I literally just got this from a chance, and 97 health. I doubt that I'll be replacing that for a while. These are all pretty fucking terrible, but yeah, definitely be a sad day when I lose these. Really sad day. But other than that, my gear is fairly basic. They just have a normal setup. I'm going to be using granite flasks once I get them. And yeah, this build works fairly well without gear. Like I said before, it's going to be really rough until you get Blood Magic, but make it to that point, you should be fine. Just stack life, get all resist, and you'll one-shot everything, basically. Just to wrap up here, guys, thanks for watching the video. Appreciate it, as always. There'll be some links on the screen, and it'll take you to a bunch of different places. They'll be to my Lightning Strike Templar, my Marauder, and probably the guide video that I did for some misunderstood mechanics of Path of Exile that I definitely think you guys should check out. Also, there'll be a link to my girlfriend's channel who does Guild Wars 2 stuff. I think she has a video up finally now, and she kind of talks about this Necromancer build that she was doing. Girl that plays games. Check it out. But other than that, I will catch you guys later.